Hey everybody. Okay, I need you to take a breath with me because what I'm about to say is uncomfortable for me too. Not because it's wrong, but because we've all been trained not to touch this topic. Like it's radioactive, it's off limits. But here is the thing. If the heaven-hell debate is the thing that decides what happens to billions of human souls forever, unending, how is this not the most important conversation we could ever have? And we're not allowed to have it? Okay, we're gonna have it. Here we go. Every branch of Christianity, Catholic, Protestant, Pentecostal, whatever, gives us the same basic storyline. You get one lifetime, and if you don't find Jesus in that one window, you go to eternal conscious torment. Full stop. No nuance. This is the teaching. No what about, no cultural context. Just, sorry kid, you were born in the wrong house. And Christians don't like hearing this, but that means billions of people never even had a chance. Like actual, real humans. Not the hypothetical evil villains you imagine when your doctrine feels too uncomfortable to you. I'm talking about the 14-year-old Muslim girl who tried her best, the Buddhist monk who loved people better than half of us ever will, the Hindu woman who opened orphanages, the kid born in a country where Christianity literally isn't an option. You think God set up the world so that America and parts of Europe are the only correct zip codes to enter the kingdom? Come on. If you actually believe what you say, that God creates billions of people, places them into circumstances where they will not pick the right religion, and then tortures them forever because they didn't pick the right one, and then someone goes, well, actually, God will consider all the factors. Okay, cool. So now we have version B where you get to override the Bible's literal reading by saying that God will work something out for the people that I feel bad for. Buddy, you don't get it that way. You don't get it both ways. You just invented a second salvation system that the Bible doesn't mention at all. You just can't. You can't have it both ways. To me, if hell is even real, the only coherent version is this. If someone is pure evil, then turn the lights out. Not torture forever, not eternal flames, not oops, you were born in the wrong country. Just the people who refuse love and become anti-love and destroy others, they don't get eternal access to ruin creation. They just don't get to come to the party. That's it. That's the only version that doesn't make God a cosmic psychopath. If you still want hell to be eternal torture, there's only two reasons. You are picturing people that you don't like, not the sweet Muslim teenager, not the Hindu grandma. You think, or you think you're one of the good ones. So none of this touches you. Or you've never actually thought about it because the topic is terrifying and you've outsourced the whole thing to your pastor who hoped you were safe. But here's the truth. If your doctrine would emotionally devastate a child, your doctrine is wrong. Ask any kid, what happens to grandma if she doesn't believe in Jesus? Watch their face. Watch the panic. Watch the heartbreak. And then tell me God designed that system with a straight face. I dare you. I dare you. It's crazy. Jesus didn't say, blessed are the doctrinally correct. He said, love God, love your neighbor, this fulfills everything. He said, you will know who is mine by their fruit, not their theological accuracy, not their birth country, not their ability to decode Greek, their fruit, like the actual shape of their life. So if a Buddhist monk has a more Christ-like fruit than a Christian congressman, are we seriously saying the congressman gets heaven and the monk gets the flames? Come on. I'm not doing this anymore. This doctrine is emotionally incoherent, theologically flimsy, and psychologically damaging. And it makes people hate God, which feels like a pretty big red flag on whether it's true. You can unfollow me, you can mute me, you can pray for me, you can warn your friends about me. I actually feel better saying this than staying quiet. And saying this terrified me for a long time. Because a good God deserves to be known as good. And billions of terrified people deserve relief. This doctrine needs to end now. And if you're still unsure, still wrestling, still afraid, that's fair. It's good. That means your conscience is alive. And if something inside you just unbraced while you were hearing all this, well, that was my big idea. Guys, God is good. The kingdom is within you. He's not the monster that you have been told about. People are not being locked into an eternal prison forever by a loving God. If I'm the bad guy for saying this out loud, then let me be the bad guy. But this needs to stop. And at the very least, we need to be allowed to talk about this. If this hits you somewhere, will you tell somebody that this is something we should be talking about? I'm not going to ask you to share this, but make this something that actually matters in your life, because it's the most important thing that could ever, 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 ever happen to people. Their eternal destiny, forever, unending. And we've created this God based on, I think, a poor interpretation of a handful of verses that are not very clear about this, and have all just decided for a long time now that we know exactly what it means, even though it is logically incoherent at every level and not loving. And I shouldn't even have to be saying this. It's one of the silliest ideas we've ever come up with. But it is a lie that has damaged us for a long time. And it needs to stop, because God rocks. And this whole thing is safer than we would have ever realized. And once you realize that, your life can actually change. You can bear good fruit. You can become a good neighbor. You can love yourself and you can love other people. But you can't do that if you think God is upset with you or everyone, or I don't even know exactly. But I think it's okay to have this conversation, and I'm sorry that I'm being so serious about this, but did you see how serious we were about COVID-19? And every day, just millions of people are going to something that we think is where they get separated from God forever, and we just kind of throw up our hands and say, well, they heard about our guy, or we invited them last Christmas, or whatever we're doing. Now, I'm not saying that we aren't out there trying to build kingdom. Absolutely, tons of awesome Christians trying to get people to see the God of the Bible, and I am too. That's the funny thing. I'm one of those people, because I actually think the God of the Bible is way better than we ever would have realized. And he made a really cool place called creation. And if we all learn to get along, it could actually be a lot of fun here. But we're not doing that because we created a false binary, because we misinterpreted a metaphor called sheep and goats, which is probably about the ego, or about the dividing of, I don't know, maybe Paul's idea, the old man, the new man, the old self. I'm a new creation. Wouldn't this be the metaphor Jesus was using? And wouldn't the Bible be so much more clear about this? The Bible that gave us Song of Songs, an 8-chapter erotic love poem, and God couldn't give us a book that helps us avoid eternal conscious torment? Look at the apparent priorities of the divine here. They don't... Jesus would have had to have a whole section of the Sermon on the Mount about this idea if this was really what was happening. He would be like, well, I can tell that in 2,000 years, some of you will still not understand this. So we got to open with, before we get to blessed are the peacemakers, we got to first talk about a lot of people still aren't going to get hell right. And I need you to know that they're going to be going away forever, no matter how hard they tried, because they happen to be born in India. All right, that's probably enough.